when he spoke to you, he made you feel like you were the most important person in the whole world. He had this unbelievable charisma. And so I loved that. It was like meeting Neil Armstrong or some super famous person you could never possibly normally connect with. So to a certain extent, it felt it changed my life. Because there wasn't anybody with that purity of voice, with that sense of phrasing. I mean, the people talked about him. In fact, my previous boss, Bill Holland, once said to me, he has the voice of God. And it was simply a vocal delivery and a sound, and an effortless sound. It was like a car that had more litres than it knew. It just kept going. I mean, people sometimes say about great singers that they sing off the interest and never off the capital, and that was him. He had a kind of humility, and he appealed to everybody, and you felt that he was making an effort for his appeal to be to every man, in a way that a lot of other artists, and maybe particularly artists from the classical or opera world, they're not able to transcend their genre. They're intimidating. And he was the exact opposite. He had that magic charisma that defies, or actually is beyond any description. It was something extra special. And it translated everywhere in the entire world. So he was that unique thing we'll never see again in that way. He was a real superstar. I was really struck by the passage in the movie about his daughter being taken very ill, and how he had ordered all his concerts to be cancelled and nothing else mattered, and how maybe that hadn't gone down very well with the critics and he didn't care at all. And it was that dedication of a father, which I didn't know about, that he'd had that experience. And as someone who's got a daughter myself, I related to that very much. The Three Tenors, and the phenomenon that was the Three Tenors, that perhaps now people don't realise quite how big the Three Tenors were. They were the biggest band in the world. They came from nowhere. They were utterly authentic. They were the real thing. And it was this alchemy that happened because they were the best, because they'd never sung it in that way as a unit. And they came together on that one night in Rome, and it was something that the world had never seen before, and I'll never see it again. And it was extra special. And it changed an industry. In terms of how the documentary actually came about, there wasn't a specific moment in time. However, I do remember following the 5th anniversary of Luciano's death, there was an event in Modena. And about that time, we were talking with Nicoletta about how to raise Luciano's profile again, and about how to remember him. And inevitably, the idea of a documentary came up. And by chance, we got talking to Nigel Sinclair and the makers of the Beatles' 8 Days a Week film. And they immediately took to the idea and did some research, and they went out to meet Nicoletta in Bologna. And then I had a call one Christmas saying, we write this project, we put this project to Ron Howard, and Ron Howard wants to do it. And actually the call was literally just before Christmas, and it couldn't have been more appropriate, because I'd never heard anything so fantastic in my entire life. Throughout the process, the family and Nicoletta have been incredibly supportive. And it's really, when I say they've been supportive, I mean, this is a story about Luciano. It's their story, actually. It can't have been easy for them, because telling a story like that is like telling a life. And it's a life with all kinds of twists and turns, and how he ended up, and how the career, the journey that he took, you could never have predicted at the start of his life or his singing career. So I think they opened up and they allowed that story to be told. And they allowed countless bits of unique footage to be found. So it's been a process of discovery. Just unearthing these great bits of footage, these stories, these storylines about his life, to reveal to everyone the majesty of this artist. All you have to do is unearth the story and tell it properly. And I think from that point of view, the documentary, it's like a window. It's like a window, or if you were reading a great story or a great poem, it's like a hole in the page through to the truth. And I think it impacts you and affects you in the way that the great films would, and possibly even more. Because it is true, after all. It really happened, if you can believe it.